A search warrant surrounds a man long considered a person of interest in Huisentruit's abduction, but who has never been charged and denies being involved.
It was obtained by Mason City Police back in 2017. Most people never even knew that search warrant existed, but the following year, the team at FindJodi.com received a tip and learned new details in the case surrounding that warrant. Earlier today, I sat down with FindJodi team member Scott Fuller to talk about the warrant and the effort to keep it sealed. Scott, thank you for joining us. Why don't we start off by just telling us a little bit about this warrant itself. This is the 6th time now that it's been sealed.
That's right, James. In 2017, the Mason City Police Department sought the search warrant for the GPS vehicle data from a man named John Van Cise, who was a friend of Jodi Huisentruit's before she disappeared back in 1995. The vehicles in question did not exist in 1995, so these were currently owned vehicles by Mr. Van Cise. And the warrant was sought and again received in 2017. The warrant was immediately sealed and has been resealed annually thereafter for 6 years now.
What type of information could be in there that authorities don't want the public to know about?
It's hard to say. I wouldn't want to speculate, but there would be, and there is attached to that warrant, a 2 or 3 page probable cause affidavit. That's what the police department investigators would have to provide a judge in order to gain the search warrant. My speculation would be that that affidavit is what the police department's interested in keeping sealed to protect the integrity of the investigation. Contained in that affidavit might be sources and methods, information that in an open investigation the police department just would not want out.
And does this kind of zero in on the fact that he has been kind of named in this case since the beginning, John Van Cise? Does this prove that this is who law enforcement thinks is responsible for Jodi's disappearance?
I don't think so at all. I think it just shows that it's one investigative avenue that they've been looking into as recently as 2017.
Which shows that they're still actively, obviously, looking at this case. Is it common for a warrant like this to continue to be resealed year after year from your experience working on cases?
It is. It's very common. Some would argue outside of this case, generally speaking, it might be too common, but it's not uncommon at all for affidavit information to be sealed along with a search warrant until a case is closed, and that can go on theoretically indefinitely. The only thing strange in my experience with this particular case is usually those warrants don't need to be resealed on an annual basis. I'm not sure if that's an Iowa thing. Usually they're just indefinitely sealed until they're disclosed. But no, it's not unusual in an open investigation like this.
And we recently had an anniversary, 27 years since Jodi's been abducted. Did you guys at FindJodi receive new leads, or did that generate new interest in the case?
Yeah, with every passing year, the case becomes in some ways harder to find answers to. The anniversary events that we put on every year bring attention to Jodi's case, and that's why we do them. But I would encourage just as the passage of time goes on, it becomes more important for anybody with any information about Jodi's case to reach out to the Mason City Police Department. And we have an anonymous form at FindJodi.com as well. Because at this point, where this case is at, it does seem like it's going to be somebody knowing something or saying something or discovering something that would be maybe a missing piece that the police need to finally find answers for Jodi's family.
And for you and your team at FindJodi, why don't you kind of talk to us a little bit about what keeps you going to try to solve this case?
Yeah, I think our dedication, and we're all volunteers, our dedication to Jodi comes from a lot of different places for different members of the team. We're close to Joanne, Jodi's sister, and some other people who knew Jodi in life, and it becomes a little bit personal in that sense. And I think it would mean something quite a bit to the Mason City community and to the rest of us who are just interested in finding answers in terms of what happened to Jodi. It's something that we do as a passion in trying to put our skills to use. But we just want somebody to be constantly asking the question, what happened to Jodi? Why isn't this case solved yet? until hopefully soon that day comes when we have answers.
Okay, Scott, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for all you do to try to solve this case, and to the FindJodi team, thank you all.
Thank you, James.
27 years, hard to believe. I was 12 when she was abducted.
Yeah, definitely. We need answers
Yeah,
now.
I remember it like it was yesterday. The FindJodi team was actually founded by 2 former employees from here at ABC6, and here we too remain committed to covering this case.
You'll find a recent interview I did with producer Amy Coons, the last person to speak to Jodi the day she disappeared. We were in Mason City as well for the 27th anniversary and memorial that was held back in June. And we have a story talking with Jodi's sister, who still does not have answers after 27 years. Again, it's all online right now at KAAL-TV.com.